An attacking masterclass, a French foe awaits, history beckons. That's in today's episode of Backstage Pass. Well, let's start with last week's game against Cardiff, and it was a resounding victory over a formidable foe. 45-9 was the scoreboard, the Vodacom Bulls putting on an attacking masterclass, scoring 6 tries in the process. That's 13 tries in just 2 games. But more than that, we had 56% possession, 56% territory. We beat 13 defenders. We also had 12 offloads to just one of theirs and 10 line breaks to just one of theirs. It was total attacking domination, made only the more impressive by the fact that Cardiff statistically has the best defense in the Vodacom URC. Obviously, it took quite a bit of time to break that defense down. As I mentioned, the best statistically in the URC, but we battered them at the gain line, beat them at the set piece, and eventually the floodgates opened. We were able to uncork that defense, and then we could attack with supreme precision. Even more impressive than our attacking performance was actually our defense. We did not allow Cardiff to score a single try. They did not cross our whitewash once. We also had a 93% tackle completion percentage, missing just 8 tackles. This was, in my opinion, our most complete performance of the Vodacom URC so far. Kane and Moody ran away with the Man of the Match award, and rightly so. He scored 2 tries. He gained 78 meters. He also put in a resounding defensive performance, but there were a couple other players that really flashed. One was Goose. Jan Goosen was phenomenal. His best performance of the season in a blue jersey. He scored 19 points, had a wonderful try assist to Kurtley Arendse, and bagged some meat himself. But it was our back row, in my opinion, that was the fulcrum of this victory. Ulrich Loh, I thought last week against Ospreys, put in the single greatest performance I've seen in the Vodacom URC by a number 8 this season. This week, he might have even improved on that performance. He was sublime. He's top 10 in both carries and successful carries in the Vodacom URC. He's putting together an incredible season. He's one of the best 8th men in world rugby at the moment, in my opinion. But he's aided so well by what I call the Bash brothers, in Carl Brink and Marco van Staden. These are 2 gain line bullies that carry in such different ways. Like Marco van Staden seems to wind up and carry with animosity, with hatred. He runs into contact with his hair on fire. Whereas Carl Brink, on the other hand, just looks so effortless. He just is able to almost walk through contact because he's so powerful. Marco van Staden explosive, Carl Brink powerful. They're both equally effective, but just carry in such different ways. And it's that variety that we have in our back row that I think makes it one of the best back rows in the Vodacom URC, if not the best at the moment. Okay, let's take stock of our performance in the Vodacom URC so far. We currently sit with 7 wins and 2 losses, so a 7-2 record. That's good for second in the Vodacom URC. The only team with a better record, of course, is Leinster, and it's really been a commanding performance so far in the URC. And the scary thing is, I don't think we've reached our full potential yet, or even close to it. I don't think we were even getting into 6th gear. We were in total control in all of these games, apart from obviously the 2 losses, the 2 blemishes on the record, and perhaps the final few minutes against Edinburgh. But outside of that, we pretty much haven't need to hit 6th gear yet. We've been in total and full control. And that's what's scary, is that this team can get even better than this. I must mention, of course, that it's going to be even more difficult now going on the road after our 2-week hiatus in the Heineken Champions Cup. We play the Stormers in Cape Town on the 23rd, then the Sharks in Durban on the 31st, and it'll be really difficult. 2 weeks on the road, that's after flying back from playing Exeter in the Heineken Champions Cup. So it's going to be a difficult road game, or series of road games, and it's really going to be a true litmus test of the Vodacom Bulls mettle. Can we pass that challenge, that hurdle? Can we finish with an 8-3 record this season, or even a 9-2 record? That would be truly sublime. And before I carry on, the last thing I want to mention, and I mentioned it against Cardiff, is our attacking performance, but it's been season long. We statistically have the best attack in the Vodacom URC. We scored more points than anyone else, and obviously that's what matters most. We scored the 3rd most tries. We're second in the comp in clean breaks, in offloads, and in meters gained. So truly putting on an attacking masterclass, and a tip of the cap to Jake White, Chris Rousseau, the rest of the coaching staff, because we were playing exactly like they said we were going to play. We wanted to play positive, attacking rugby, keep the ball off the deck, go through the phases, try and turn the corner, play attacking, aggressive, on your throat level rugby, always upping the ante, upping the tempo. And we've been good to that word. We've played that attacking, positive rugby with intent, and it's been really positive to see. This isn't the Vodacom Bulls team of 2010, 2009 that's going to that predicated its game totally on set piece dominance, on physicality. Yes, we've got good set piece. Yes, we're physically dominant, but we've got so many more strings to our bow, and that's what's really exciting for Vodacom Bulls fans. That's why we can look forward to the future. Okay, let's pause on the Vodacom URC because we now enter the Heineken Champions Cup. And for those of you who don't know, this is the premier domestic tournament in world rugby. This is the best of the best. The best teams from the Vodacom URC, as well as from the English Premiership and the French Top 14, 24 teams battling it out, best versus the best, in front of, or playing in amphitheaters of rugby, in front of massive crowds that are both passionate and hostile in equal measure. It's going to be a true test of attrition. It's the winner of this tournament truly can be crowned the best club team in world rugby. And it's not just the opportunity to play the best of the best and in these traditional theatres of rugby and play in the best competition in the world, or the club competition in the world. It's also an opportunity to transcend, to get into those upper echelons of world rugby, to get into that tier, that top tier of truly world-class giant clubs. I'm talking the Leinsters, the Toulouses, the Toulons, the Saracens, that level of club. The Vodacom Bulls, we truly believe we're in that company. We look at ourselves as a super club, as one of the giants of the game in terms of union and franchise and brand. Here's our opportunity to prove it. And it's our opportunity to prove it first up against Lyon. Now, you don't necessarily consider Lyon to be a French giant, but they're an incredible franchise. They're going to pose a really difficult question. This Lyon team is currently 6th in the top 14 with a record of 7-5. Probably doesn't reflect their quality, but there's quality all over the park. This is a team that won the EPCR, and for those of you who don't know, that's the one tournament slightly below the Heineken Champions Cup. The teams that don't qualify for that qualify for the EPCR, but we're talking about really good teams playing there. I mean, they had to beat Toulon in the final, so this is a truly, truly good Lyon team. They won that tournament, and rightly so. And if you look at this team, they predicate their game on their pack, on their physicality. And when you look at that pack, when you zoom out, it is a world-class pack that is filled to the brim with international talent. You've got the Romain Tuifunuas, the Felix Lambés, the Dylan Cretons, the Luan Goujons. They've got an incredible pack filled with French internationals. These are starters in the Autumn Nation Series. These are starters in the Six Nations. So this is an intimidating, ferocious pack. And we haven't even mentioned the player that's probably most known to Vodacom Bulls fans, and of course, that is Arnaud Botha, a true son of Loftus Versfeld. He left, or firstly, he returned to Loftus from a stint at Munster and played 2 phenomenal seasons where he even captained us on a number of occasions. He's now left to go to Lyon this season. He's been playing at 8. What a homecoming for him. He'll be returning to Loftus, or playing at Loftus for the first time in a jersey that isn't blue. The one thing about Lyon is, yes, they've got a good backline, but there's a litany of injuries. I mean, in the pack, you've got Demba Bamba, French regular starter, he's out. Then you've got Lima Sapuaga, an All Black fly half, he's out. Joshua Tuisova, probably their most destructive strike runner in the backs, the Fijian flyer, he's out. So look to the boot of Carl Godwin, probably playing 12, the Australian. He brings the game management, the pragmatism. He'll look to pull the string. So he'll try and put them in the right areas along with their pack. And if they pack and milk penalties, he'll kick them over all day long. So he's one to watch out for in that backline. Finally is prediction time. And I do think that Lyon are going to pose a serious challenge to this Vodacom Bulls team. But we have to beat Lyon in order to have any kind of assault on the Heineken Champions Cup. This is effectively a knockout rugby because you only play 2 teams home and away. You have to win your home games. We know how tough it is on the road. We know how tough it is to go into Lyon in front of that crowd with that passion in alien conditions again against a team we aren't used to, and with that physicality and play there. It's going to be a really tough challenge. And then to go to Exeter and win there. You effectively have to win your home games to have any chance of progressing. And as I mentioned, Lyon are going to pose a serious challenge. We saw how it was in our first season of the Vodacom URC, especially in that opening tour. We won 1 game in 4. So there was a feeling out period. We had to get used to those conditions, those crowds, those teams, that style of rugby. And it took some time before we eventually began to dominate. We are hoping that our time in the Vodacom URC will prepare us for these teams and the style of play. But of course, the Vodacom Bulls have never played French opposition before. We've never played them at Loftus. We've never played Heineken Champions Cup rugby, so there probably is going to be a bit of a feeling out period, like 2 heavyweight boxers in the opening 2 or 3 rounds, trying to preempt each other's strikes, get used to each other's style, and I think that's what it's going to be, 2 sluggers in the ring. And I think for the first 40, maybe even 50 or 60 minutes, it's going to be a very tight affair. But I do believe in the quality of this Vodacom Bulls team. I do believe in our Heineken Champions Cup aspirations, and I do believe that we'll be victorious. Now, I'm predicting an 8-point victory, let's say 28-20 to the Vodacom Bulls, and I actually think I'm being a little bit generous here, but I've got to give credit to Lyon. They are a pack that poses serious questions. They are a pack filled with international quality. I think the Vodacom Bulls can win by 8, and I do believe that that deficit can be inflated in the last 10 minutes. I think the Vodacom Bulls can actually get to a point where they score 2 tries at the end of the game, and kind of that deficit doesn't reflect maybe the tightness of the game, and maybe we end up with a very comfortable victory. But I'm going to be conservative, give my credit where it's due to Lyon, and say that the Vodacom Bulls win by 8 points in a really tight, hard-fought, physical bloodbath type encounter, and we get our first victory in the first game of the Heineken Champions Cup against Lyon. Comment below with your score predictions, whom you backing this weekend, what you want to see in the Heineken Champions Cup, and let's get ready for an absolute spectacle of rugby. Make sure you buy your tickets if you haven't already. It's going to be a phenomenal evening. It's going to be an incredible game of rugby. Make sure you're there to witness history live in the flesh. My name is Martin Caro. It's been another episode of Backstage Pass. See you again next week.